Hello again, and welcome to Preparation for Google Certified Educator Level 1. This is session 8. Take a moment, please register at the URL you see on the screen, or simply scan the QR code you see right there. My name is Brett Petrillo. I am a certified educator and a Google certified trainer. You can find me on Twitter at Brett Petrillo, or you can visit my website if you wish, brettpetrillo.com. This is Google Certified Educator Level 1 preparation. This is the first level of training with Google. And afterwards, hopefully you'll be able to take and pass the Google Certified Educator Level 1 exam. It costs $10. When you do pass the exam, you'll get this handy-dandy badge you see on your screen. You'll be able to add it to any of your promotion, for example, on your website or in your signature, and it will be able, or you'll be able to show the world that you have indeed the skills necessary to become a Google certified educator. You can go to the edutrainingcenter.withgoogle.com. This is where you register for the exam, and also there is a ton of study material and guidance that Google gives you through here. So just note that I do not provide you the exam. My goal is just to help prepare you in your quest to become a Google certified educator. Last week, we took a look at Google Hangouts, specifically text Hangouts, the notifications in history and archiving you get there, video Hangouts, looking at how to start and invite people to a Hangout, and screen sharing. We also dove into Google Drive, the organization of the Drive, how important that is, how to deal with non-Google files within the Drive, sharing files and folders in the Drive, and how you can get access to your Drive documents even when offline. This week, we're going to take a look at Google Calendar. The whole session is dedicated to Google Calendar. There's a lot in there. We're going to look at how to create calendars, how to create events, how to add attachments to your events, how to send invites to invite people to join your calendar, to be able to view your calendar, sharing your calendar, subscribing to other people's calendars, getting notifications through Calendar. Also, we'll look at how Calendar is integrated with Mail and Hangouts. And just like in prior sessions, Google Calendar has labs. And we're going to take a look at some of those labs. And let's get started. All right, you can see now that I am at calendar.google.com, signed in under my trainer account. I just want to give you a brief overview of what is on this page here before I get into telling you how to create a calendar. This is the default calendar that is given to every Google domain or Gmail account. And if you just take a look here, you can see it says calendar up in the top left-hand side. Moving down, you have the whole month view, and you can scroll to other months by clicking these arrows right there. I can click ahead or click back. I can also choose a day, and that will jump me forward to that day. Underneath there, you see I have my calendars. There's one that Google has created for me, and it will have created one for you as well. This is the default main calendar. I also have underneath there some birthdays and reminders. And if I click this arrow right beside reminders, it will switch it to tasks. And when I do that, you see over here that my list of tasks has shown up right there. And in this account, I do not have any at the moment. If I exit out of there, it goes away, but this still remains as tasks. And if I put it back to reminders, There you go. Underneath there, I have a list of other calendars, and I'll show you where that is in a second, or how to get other calendars there. But you can see that I have holidays in the Philippines and my favorite team, the Toronto Blue Jay calendar, unchecked. I can't see it right now, but if I click on it, you notice how that's the only one in my list that doesn't have a color. And if I hover over it, it shows up, and if I click, it will show up in the calendar just like such. So I have the Toronto Blue Jay calendar. But for this, I'm going to not see that. Let's go up here to the top. You see that I can go forward or back, and I have the week view showing starting on Sunday. So this would be May 7th, and if I scrolled forward, obviously it starts Sunday, May 14th. Let's go. If I scroll forward a few times and I have a hard time getting back to today, that's what this button there does. It takes me right to today and the current week, because again, like I said, I'm in the week view. But I can change the week view over here. I can change it to the day view, so I just see one day at a time, or week, like I had it, or I can click on a month view and then view the entire month on my screen with all the events, and you can see one of my holidays right there. I can also go over here to 4-day schedule, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, starting on the day that you're on. I can go to an agenda view that would just list all of the events that you're having or that you've put onto your calendar. And then over here in more, I can print it and refresh as well. So my favorite is the week calendar for me because it gives me enough space to see the information. I find that the month view doesn't quite give me enough space, but that's up to you. And the day view, I find I need to know what's coming up tomorrow as well. So I like this a week view for me. Over here, you have your settings bar, just like in all of the Google apps, this little icon, settings, and you can customize your display density from comfortable to compact with cozy in the middle. You also have settings in there that you can get to, and I'll do that in a second. There's always Google Help and Labs. I'm going to talk about a little bit later on. There's also offline mode, and we've talked about that in some of the other sessions. But for now, let's just click onto settings and go through this a little bit quickly. You have the options to change the default language and country and the time zone you're in. Very important to do that so that your appointments don't get really confusing. You can customize your date format, and it gives you some drop-down options there. You can also customize your time format if you prefer a 24-hour clock. All customizable. Notifications we'll talk about a little bit later, but you can get there through settings. And then events from Gmail. I'm going to talk about this later too. And I have checked add automatically, but we'll get into that a little bit more deeply later on. Default event duration. So when you were to create an event, you can have it just created automatically for 60 minutes as default, 30 minutes, 15, all the way up to 120 minutes as the default. And 60 minutes is what it just starts with. And you can also, depending on what your preference is, change the day of the week the day that your week starts on, Sunday, Monday, or Saturday. I know some places on the planet start their work week on Sunday. So you can shift this around if you choose, completely up to you. You can also play with your working hours there. Event dimming. Now this is when an event has passed, it changes to a lighter shade of the color that it was prior, so you can see that things have been completed. You can show weekends in the month view or not, so you can take weekends out of there. And the default for me, like I just showed you earlier, is the week. You can also set a custom view. So that was one of the options there. And if I did that, I can have it to show 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, all the way into 2 days. Now my custom view was 4 days there, but I could have changed that here if I wanted to. Doesn't matter for me too much because I prefer to see the whole week, like I just said. And you can put down your location there. Show weather. You can have current weather show up on your calendar automatically depending on where you are. And sometimes you'll get invites to events and you'll have to decline them if you choose to show the events you've declined or not. You can just put that there. Add invitations to your calendar. Yes, you can say do that automatically, or there's other options there. This is just good to know where this is for when you take the Google Certified Educator exam, level 1. And then you have alternate calendars. I do not have one, but I could change the current calendar into whichever I choose out of all of these options. And I can enable keyboard shortcuts right here, yes or no. And if you want some more information about the keyboard shortcuts, you can just go to Learn More, which is right there. Now, it's important, any changes that you make in the settings in calendar, you have to hit the save button. They do not save automatically. So you would have to hit the save button and then they're saved. So you can relax and take it easy now that you know that it's saved. After it's saved, it takes you back to your calendar. I'm just gonna head back over here to settings and show you the other things that are in there. You have a list and a way to modify your calendars, and that's the next thing I'm going to talk about. There's your mobile setup and labs. I'm going to talk about labs later on as well. But for now, let's go back to the calendar and let me take a bit of time to show you how to create a calendar. Now, there's a couple ways to create a calendar, and I think the easiest way is to go over here where it says My Calendars, and the little triangle drop down there. If you click on that, you get Create New Calendar. The calendar you're seeing right now on the screen is empty, and that is the default calendar that you get, like I said earlier, with your Gmail account. But let's say that I wanted to create a new calendar. If I'm a teacher, maybe I want to share a classroom events calendar with my parent community. Or as a principal, perhaps I want to create a calendar that I'm going to share to the entire community that represents the events of the school. I want to keep those calendars separate from my personal calendar. So what I'll have to do is create a new one. So again, you would just click on this little drop down there and hit Create New Calendar. You can also get to Create New Calendar by going into the settings and under the menu Calendars. And if I scroll down, you can see there's the little button right there that says Create a New Calendar. But I prefer the shortcut. Back on the main calendar, go to My Calendars and then Create New Calendar. And you can also get to the settings there as well. So if I create new calendar, this window pops up where it's going to ask me for the name of the calendar. And let's just call this one a demo calendar. And once I've chosen my name, I can put a description in there and provide the people that I'm sharing the calendar with a bit more information about what the calendar is all about. I can put the location of the calendar and choose the time zone, the same as the options for the default calendar that is given to you. Now, once I've chosen all the details here for my new calendar, I have also the option of sharing it right from this Create menu here. I can click right there that says Share this calendar with others, and then it gives me some choices. I can make it public, and then anybody can see it, or I can share it with specific people in my domain only, or I can go down here and share it with specific people by just putting in the email address. Now, what this will do is allow people to see the calendar and to see the events that you've put in there. And you can go over here when sharing with specific people, you can change the event details or the permissions. So you can actually have somebody adding events and managing those events on your calendar, or give permission to only have that person be able to make changes, or just have it so that they can see the event details. Or you can choose that those people that have access to your calendar only see that you are busy or unavailable for certain time blocks. And then once you had that in there, you could just hit add person. Once you're all done creating or inserting all this information here, then you have to be sure to click create calendar. Now you see that the calendar I just created is listed underneath my calendars. Now, theoretically, if I had anything in the calendar of any of these four, they would all be showing up in this calendar. But if I only wanted to see one of them, I would just unclick. So right now, I have just visible the default calendar, but I could also have the demo calendar as the only one visible, or visible all four. Now, it's a little silly right now because I have nothing in those calendars for you to see, but that's how you make the events visible or not visible. And that's how you create a calendar. When adding events to your calendar, you have a few options. And now notice this big red button up in the top left-hand corner. If I click Create, then it gives me an untitled event window, and I can create the event right here. Let's call this one a demo event. Once I've titled it, I have a few more options down here. This is from date, so you'll see when I hover over it, it gives me what it is. And if I click there, it gives me a month view where I can click on the specific date. Now, perhaps I want it to be May 13th. And then I can click on the time, and it gives me 30-minute intervals where I can put in the time. But if that 30 minutes doesn't work for you, I can just type it in. So for example, if I wanted it to start at 5:17, I completely have that functionality. And then perhaps it's finishing. Now remember earlier I said that the default was an hour, so that defaulted to 6:17, but let's say I wanted to have it finish at 6:25. Well, that's completely acceptable. And if it's finishing on the same day, I would just keep that the same. If there were no timings for it, but it was happening all day, I would click this button right there that says all day. And if I want it to happen on multiple days, I can hit this repeat button, and it gives me some more options. I can have it repeat weekly, monthly, yearly, daily, or Monday to Friday. You see all these choices here. I can also have it repeat every 1 week or 13, all the way up to 30 weeks, and I can have it repeat on certain days of the week by just clicking it there. And I can set the start date and the end date. Now the default is never, so you always want to change this unless you want something to happen on your calendar for eternity, then you would change that. So you can do it to after so many occurrences, or you can specify a date that you want an event to end. And then when you're done, you just go down here to where it says done and click it, and you can continue editing your event. And you have here some more event details. You can add in a location, and you can add in a description, and you can choose which calendar that you want it to be a part of. Now, I had the demo calendar clicked, so it was automatically defaulting to that one. But if I wanted to put this on my other calendar, I could just click that and make sure that it was on the right calendar. This is an important thing to remember, because I know a lot of people, when using calendars, get their calendars confused, and sometimes they don't realize which calendar they're posting their events to. All right, continuing on, you can choose your color for your event right there. You can also choose whether or not you're busy or available during that event. We'll talk about notifications in a minute, a little bit later on in this tutorial. And then the visibility. The calendar has a default when you created your calendar, but you can change it to have public access to to it or private access, depending on what you wish. Once you've put in your event details, you can go on up to where it says save and just click that. And you see that my event was created for May 13th at 5:17 to 6:25 p.m. and it was titled a demo event. If I wanted to see some more details about this event, I can just click on it and I can go to edit event, and then those event details pop up. And if I want to save it again, after I've made some changes, I would have to click save and then go back. Now I created that event by going up here to create. I can also go to the calendar and just click near the time that I want to create an event for. So let's say I wanted to create one for, let's say it's next week. I'm going to go up to next week and I'm going to click on May 15th. And I want something to happen at 1:30. Now you see this is between 1 and 2, and this line represents 1:30. So I'm just going to click there. It automatically shows me that there's a block there for 1:30. And again, the default was 1 hour. And I can put in the title right there. And also change the calendar that it's visible to right there. I'll just keep it at the demo calendar. Now, if I want to see all of those other details that we saw when we created the other demo event, then I can just click on this Edit Event button right there, and it'll give me a lot more of those details that I was looking for. So let's call this one Demo Event number 2. And then I would hit save. So you see that right there, 1:30 to 2:30. Another cool feature here on this screen is if I thought, oh wait, it's 1:30 to 2:30. I need it to be 1:30 to 3:30. I can just hover over this part of the event and then that little arrow up and down shows up, and I can just click down and drag it to the time that I wish. Now, if that doesn't work for you because you have odd times, you would then just go here and click on the event and then go to edit event and change those times the way you wish and add any details that you wish as well. So that is a way for you also to create an event. Over here, there's one more way. If I hover over this triangle right there, I can click that and it says quick add. So this is where you write a little bit of a narrative and Calendar automatically puts that into your calendar for you. Let me demonstrate with a narrative that says, have a meeting with the faculty at 3 o'clock tomorrow. And when I have that written in there, if I just hit enter, you can see that automatically an event has been put in there at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Today is May 13th. So it will automatically put that in there for you. And again, it's the 1 hour default. But notice how this one showed up blue. It's because it put it into my default calendar. I can change that by clicking on it, going to edit the event, and changing the calendar that it belongs to. And if I add it to the demo calendar and just hit save, and it changes it to gray. So there's the benefit of having different colors for all of your calendars. And that is how you create an event. Now, one of the cool things about calendar events is that I can add attachments to them that give the intended recipient a lot more information. And how I would do that, let's pretend that this have a meeting with the faculty. Perhaps I want to provide the faculty with a document before they get there. So I would just click on the event to edit it, and I'm going to go here to edit the event. And I skipped over this before, but when you see all of those event details, underneath the description there, you see attachment, add attachment. When I click on that, this window right here appears, and you can see that I can attach a document to the event. And I can do that from my drive or from things that have been shared with me on the drive, things in the drive that I have been working with recently, or I can upload something to the drive and attach it that way. So that is a super handy way to give information, to provide information to the people that are seeing the event. Another example of this could be perhaps I was sharing a calendar to my parent community, and there are events on the calendar that have a lot of information to them. I can attach a document to the event, and the parent would then have that information. And once I add the attachment, again, I'm just going to go up here and hit save. And now the people that would click on this or who have access to it would also have access to that attachment that you have put in place. I showed you earlier in the settings on how you can invite people to view your calendar with different permissions, but you can also invite people to an event that you've put into your calendar. Now, I skimmed over this earlier, but if you click on the event again and hit edit, then over here you can add guests to the event. And when you do, you would just type in their email address. And let me demonstrate with mine. And when it's typed in, you would just hit enter, and you can see that this person, my other email address, has been added as a guest. Now, when I hit save up here in the top, it says, would you like to send invitations to the guest? And if you say send, then that person will receive a notification in their inbox saying that they have been requested to go or to participate to this event. And it will give them the option to say, yes, I will be attending, or to decline the invitation. So that is an easy way for you to send invites to events right from within Calendar. And you can see down here that the guests you do invite to your events, you can control certain permissions that they have. Now, if you click here, any guest on an event can modify the event. So be careful that you're choosing the right ones. If I unclick that, then I can allow guests to invite others, but perhaps not modify the event. And I can choose whether or not they can see the guest list. If you don't want any of those, you would just unclick, and they would not be able to modify, they would not be able to invite, and they would not see the guest list there. And once all is said and done, you would just save again. And there you have it, how to invite guests to your events. Now again, I showed you one way to show or to share your calendar with other people by going up here to settings and go into settings and then going into your calendar. Now you see that you have a list of calendars. Over here, you have on the right side, you have a heading that is called sharing. Now underneath that, you can see that all of your calendars, except for this birthday calendar, which shows birthdays from your circles in Google+. If you don't want that to show you, just unclick there. But with the other, your default calendar and the calendar that you've created, you can choose to share them. So if I click on that right there, it takes me back to this menu. It says share calendar with others, and I can share with individual people, and I can also change the permissions for those people that have access to my calendar. So that's another way to share the calendar. Let's go back and do that again. So if I go to settings and then down to settings, I can go over to calendars and choose the calendar I wish to share, and then go over to the right side and click on share this calendar. And then you would also be able to manage the permissions that you are giving to the people that have access to your calendar. And then whatever changes you make, again, you would have to hit save and then go back to your calendar. You also have this option, and this might be a bit easier, is to go over to the calendar that you have here that you wish to share. And when you hover over it, you see that this little triangle drop down shows up. If you click on that, you have a whole lot more options. And one of them is to share the calendar. And you can click on that, and it just takes you to the same window that we had seen before. And then again, you would hit save when you've made changes. So this might be a bit easier for you, but there are multiple ways to share a calendar with others. Subscribing to a calendar involves getting access to a calendar that has been put out there to you. And earlier in the screencast here, I talked about the Toronto Blue Jays, and that is something that I have subscribed to. But if you look above it, it also says add a coworker's calendar. And if you click on that and type in or begin typing in an email address, then you'll get some options. And let me demonstrate. So I've just typed in my other email address, and if I hit enter, then this screen pops up and it says there's the email address, and you can request access to their calendar. And underneath it gives you a brief default message that would send that request. And when you have sent it, you can hit send request. So that coworker of yours or friend or anybody you wish would then get that notice. And if they allow you access, then you would then see that in other calendars. There's another way to subscribe to other calendars is by hovering over other calendars there, clicking on the arrow, and you can see add a coworker, but you can also browse interesting calendars. You can add them by URL if somebody or an organization has provided you the URL to a calendar. You can import other calendars, and then there's also settings, and we've seen that before. But let's browse interesting calendars for a moment. You can see that by default it pops up the holidays, and there are several holidays. You can scroll down the list to find a holiday you wish to add to your calendar. Maybe holidays from Japan. It goes over all the countries and all the holidays. If you find one you wish or that you like, then you just go over here to where it says subscribe, or you can preview it as well. Similarly, I have the option next to holidays as sports, and this is where I got the Blue Jays. So they have every team in here, Google does. I just hovered over baseball and I clicked on that. And then I have all sorts of different leagues right there. I can click then on Major League Baseball, and then I can find my team. And once I found the Toronto Blue Jays, I just went over here and I hit subscribe. Now, you can subscribe to any team you wish, obviously, but there is so much here in sports. If you like hockey, you could go over to three different leagues in hockey. You can choose your team right there, subscribe, and then that will show up on your calendar just like the Blue Jays did on mine. And you also have here more. If I click on more, then I have a few other interesting calendars that I can subscribe to right there. And you can see next to that as well, it has the options of me adding a coworker's calendar or importing a calendar right there as well. So there, again, are several ways to subscribe to a calendar or add a calendar to add a coworker's calendar to your own calendar right there. And again, you can see that's where the Toronto Blue Jays are. And if I click on it, it shows up and it shows me all of their games. And that isn't subscribing to different calendars. There are a couple of ways for you to customize the notifications you get from Calendar. The first one, I'm going to take you over here again to Settings and then down to Settings. And I'm going to get back into Calendars and to go to the calendar, the demo calendar that I had just created. And you'll see here, I had already talked about the sharing, but next to it, there is edit notifications. And if I click on that, it takes me to this menu right here, and it talks about event notifications, and I can add notifications to certain events from here, and all-day event notifications. I'm going to show you a different way to do that as well, but that's good to know that you can get there through settings. You can also choose here how you would like to be kept up to date in this calendar. And you can choose to get notifications via email or text, SMS, or both. You could choose both. When you get new events, when events have changed, when events have canceled, when certain events get responses from the people you've invited, or you can get an email daily agenda sent to you automatically from Calendar. And you would just click on the choices that you wish. So you can customize how you are kept up to date. And again, you would just hit save when you're done with that. Now, going back to the calendar, you can also customize how you get notifications with a certain event just by clicking on the event, going to edit, and then scrolling down here to add a notification within the event. You can also do this when you initially create the event, because this is just the event creation page. So you would click on add notification. Then you can choose to get a notification 10 minutes before the event starts. I can also customize this to change it to 5 minutes or 3 minutes. It's completely up to you, or hours, days, weeks. I can get a notification saying that this event is coming up. Or if I want, I can also change that to be an email. So instead of a notification, I can get an email. Or if I want both, I can just add another one. And you can get different notifications at different times, or you can get an email and a notification that pops up on your screen as well. So you can just add all sorts of notifications if you want, if it's a really important thing. So there you have a couple ways to get notifications through Calendar. There are a couple ways that Calendar interacts with Gmail that you would benefit from knowing how and why for the Google Certified test. Now, first of all, I'm taking you back here to this to the calendar, and I'm going to go back up there to settings. And I glanced over this earlier, but it says events from Gmail add automatically. This allows you to, if you get an invite to an event from somebody else, and then through Gmail, if you can just click add. So that is a way as well. That's one way that it interacts with Gmail. Also, I want to point this out. So we're going to go back to Gmail right there. This is my demo account. And you can see that I've got some introductory emails from Google or from Gmail. But when you're in an email here, if you go up to More and click down, you can create an event right from Gmail. And what this will do, if I click on that, it will pull up the event details, and it'll automatically take the subject of the email and put it into your title of the event. And now notice here, we're not in Gmail anymore. We're in Calendar. It took me right to Calendar. It opened up a new tab, and it's filling in. It took the email text and put it in as a description, and you can change anything you want here, but it's creating an event in Calendar right from Gmail. And the way you do that is, again, just by going up to More when you're in your email, clicking down and going down here to Create Event. That'll link you right back to Calendar and help you in creating that event. A couple of sessions ago, we talked about how great Google Hangouts are, both video and text chats. It also has some cool functionality here, Hangouts do, in Calendar. Now, if you click on an event, let's just take this demo number 2 right there. In this screen here, you can see that I'm given some basic information. But you also see right there video call, and it says join the meeting. What this will do is if you have people that are invited to this event, then you can start a video call right from Calendar. Let me demonstrate by clicking on this, and you see that that Hangouts has come up. Now you see that I'm the only one here. That's because there wasn't anybody invited to that event. But you can do Google Hangouts, video Hangouts. You can initiate them right from Calendar. Now that would be something that could be very beneficial to know potentially when you take the Google Certified Educator exam. So that is Google Hangouts right from Calendar. That's pretty cool. The last thing I want to show you in this session is about labs. Now, we talked about labs way back when we talked about Gmail as well, but Google Calendar also has labs, and you may have noticed the bar up in the top in the settings where you go up here in mobile setup and labs. And if I click on labs, very similarly to Gmail, it gives me this message here that these items, they may change, break, or disappear at any time, so to be cautious. However, some of them are pretty amazing, and you can scroll through these on your own time. The one that I feel is most beneficial to me is this one right here that says hide morning and night. Now, I don't know about what your schedule is, but I don't really schedule anything on my calendar before 7 in the morning, and I don't really schedule anything after 7 p.m. So I've enabled this one. I could disable or enable, and let me just show you what that does. So I'm going to save any changes that I've made. I'm going to go back to my calendar. Now you see up here the day starts at 12 a.m. And because I have that lab installed, when I hover over it, it goes gray. And it says click to hide 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. If I click on that, it disappears. So the top of my calendar is right there. And if I want it back, I can just click and see it again. And that has also done it for 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. down at the bottom. So you get a whole sense of your calendar there, not having to scroll up and down so much. You can see it all right there. So that's one lab that I really like. There are other labs. Check them out. But again, a word of caution. They are Google's way of testing new features that they put in to Calendar. And again, like I said, they also have them for Gmail. Well, that brings us to the end of our session. Please join us next time when we take a look at Google Groups. We'll look at how to create groups, how to change those permissions and add members to the group you've created. And we'll also look at how to communicate with your group via email. We're going to dive into YouTube. Almost said Google YouTube, but it's YouTube. And searching playlists and channels, how to share content in YouTube. We'll also look at the education resources that you get in YouTube, YouTube EDU, and creating your own content with YouTube. Well, thank you very much for watching the video. My name is Brett Petrillo, and feel free to visit my YouTube page. All the other sessions are located there, and I'll see you next time.